Well, this is right now what it looks like in Beirut, Lebanon, where Israel is continuing to pound that area. We just saw live images of the aftermath of an Israeli airstrike continuing to take out Hezbollah terror targets. Tensions are reaching, well, the point of retaliation now in the Middle East. This is what we were wanting to avoid. A senior White House official tells Fox Iran is planning an imminent missile attack on Israel. The Israeli Defense Force pushing forward with a new phase now in its war on Hezbollah. Yesterday, of course, it moved in on the ground, the IDF, and called it limited ground operations inside southern Lebanon, going after Iran's proxy terrorists, those people they prop up with their money.
Hezbollah planned to launch their October 7th attack from villages across southern Lebanon, where they have been building up their arms capabilities and forces for the last 2 decades. Our soldiers entered Hezbollah's underground infrastructures, exposed Hezbollah's hidden weapon caches, and seized and destroyed the weapons, including advanced Iranian-made weapons.
Israeli airstrikes have taken out nearly all of Hezbollah's command in recent weeks, including their big leader, Nasrallah, just this week. Hassan Nasrallah was hit inside the nation's capital. Precision by Israel. Nate Foy is in Tel Aviv. Nate, before you take it away, I have a quick question. In terms of this imminence, can you see or do you know what's happening on the other side of the border in Lebanon at this point? I mean, does it look like people are moving out of the way there, too? I'm just curious to know, because that'll tell us potentially how fast Iran is going to hit Israel.
Well, the ground incursion, as you know, Harris, is underway, but I can actually tell you an exact number. It takes 12 minutes for a ballistic missile to travel from Iran to where we are in Israel right now. So it's a waiting game. And as you mentioned, according to a U.S. official, Iran has been noticed moving its missiles in recent days. And we're expecting this attack to play out in the next 24 hours. What we don't know, Harris, is the exact scale of it. The only reference point that we have is the only direct attack on Israel that Iran has launched, which they did back in April after Israel attacked an Iranian consulate in Damascus. In that attack, Iran launched over 300 ballistic missiles, cruise missiles, and drones. But as you mentioned in your intro, this time it's different because just days ago, Israel took out Hassan Nasrallah, the leader of Hezbollah, for 32 years. And just hours ago, Israel launched a ground offensive into Lebanon, threatening one of Iran's biggest proxies. Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu had this message for the people of Israel moments ago.
Together we will stand steadfast in the trying days ahead of us. Together we will stand, together we will fight, and together we will win.
And take a look at this, Harris. Tel Aviv got hit by Hezbollah rockets this morning. They targeted the Mossad headquarters here. The IDF says 2 drivers got hurt by falling shrapnel. And we're also learning today that Israeli special units infiltrated southern Lebanon dozens of times throughout the conflict before launching its limited offensive last night. The IDF identified and dismantled the tunnel network, gathered intelligence, and hampered Hezbollah's capabilities during covert operations. Right now, as we anticipate this pending attack, Harris, there are thousands of additional U.S. troops in the region, including fighter jet squadrons that will defend Israel from this attack. And the U.S. also says that if Iran directly attacks Israel, there will be severe consequences for Iran. We'll send it back to you.
There is so much going on every time I see a report with you. Thank you, Nate Foy, for getting the conversation started on this.
You got it.
Florida Congressman Brian Mast now. Let's dig into what was just reported. The congressman served as a volunteer in the Israeli Defense Forces, and he sits on the House Foreign Affairs Committee, and he served for our nation valiantly as well, too. It is great to see you today. Let's dig in. I asked the question about what it looks like on the Lebanese Israeli border. And the reason I ask that question is if you know that there's a ground incursion coming, you'll move some people out of the way. I get that. But if you know Iran is going to then come from another direction and join that, you'll move everybody. Is that even a potential? I mean, would Iran do more than just hit Israel by air?
Look, I think what Iran has to assess in the response that they give is probably twofold. One, has Israel totally degraded their ability to do a short-range attack by what they did on that Lebanon border? Have they eliminated those capabilities of rockets, of drones, of things in the short wave? And so are they left with only the option of doing something from a longer range? And then they have to assess, because remember, they're not dealing exactly with U.S. military-grade equipment in the same generation that we talk about. Right. Our generations of equipment. They're not in the same ballpark. They're not in the same game. So what can they do against the other systems of defense that are there beyond the Iron Dome system that gets spoken about so much? The Arrow system, the tactical high altitude area defense systems, the David Sling systems, these other systems. What do they think they can do against other systems of defense? And that's something that they have to calculate.
So you were part of the IDF. And I know viewers may wonder, well, how did that come about, and what can you tell us about those fighting forces?
Well, this goes back to what was going on in higher education years ago. I was a student at Harvard back in 2014. There were constant protests against Israel at that time, and I decided one day, after having a very negative encounter with some Palestinian supporters, that I was going to go and show my support for Israel, and I did. I went and volunteered alongside their military there, which was a great experience. But what I can tell you about the difference in those forces is they realize on a daily basis that they are surrounded by enemies directly on their border, whether it be the tunnels that come through Egypt, whether it be what comes across from Gaza, or whether it be what comes from the north in Lebanon. They have a daily reminder of the enemy is on their border, and it's just a matter of, maybe 40, 50 miles for them to cut the country in half in many of these places. That's the reality for the fighters on the ground.
Congressman Mast, do you believe that there was any sort of coordination between Hezbollah and Hamas on October 7th? Hezbollah began to hit Israel very hard with more missiles on October 8th after that 7th attack. Do you think there was any coordination between those two groups?
I absolutely believe that there was coordination and that Israel was wise to not take the bait. Israel has been bombarded by Hezbollah for the last year, moving people out of the north of Israel because so many people have been attacked, many refugees, I guess you could call them at this point. They wanted to focus on what was going on in Gaza. They are now moving on to addressing what has been taking place for this last year, coming from the Lebanon border, coming into Israel. And this had to happen. And in this, I think everybody needs to ask themselves the question as they ask, well, is this going to escalate? Is this going to lead to something bigger? Mm-hmm. If this was the United States of America and Canada were lobbing rockets into Michigan, or the cartels on the southern border were lobbing them into California or Arizona or someone else, none of us would be asking if it's going to escalate. We would only be asking what capabilities we need to destroy that enemy.
Well, the cartels are an enemy, and they don't use bombs.
Right.
They use fentanyl and sex trafficking and attacking
You're
women and children.
Right.
They're cowards. So, yeah, I guess that's our first war down there. Last quick question. What type of movement now are you looking at to say what Iran is going to do next?
I think for them, are they moving any forces that they have remaining off of the border? Again, recognizing the difference in generations of weaponry that they have. Israel has to look at, okay, did they only have capability to fire something that they had eyes on or lasers on? Or again, this is going into details of different generations of technology, but those have to be things that Israel are looking for.
Congressman Mast, it is always great to have you in focus. Thank you for your service and your expertise.
Thank you, Harris.
Hey everyone, I'm Emily Campagno. Catch me and my co-hosts Harris Faulkner and Kaylee McEnany on Outnumbered every weekday at 12 p.m. Eastern, or set your DVR. Also, don't forget to subscribe to the Fox News YouTube page for daily highlights.